In my opinion, the power of story is being vulnerable. We're all storytellers, and some are better than others. But why is that? Because the best storytellers let themselves be vulnerable. They open up to trauma, hurt, happiness, and strengths others like me keep hidden because of fear. The fear of judgment from others holds many people back from being vulnerable and being great storytellers. In Brené Brown's TED Talk, The Power of Vulnerability, she went to her therapist and acknowledged her problem with vulnerability. She said, "Well, I have a vulnerability issue, and I know that vulnerability is a core of shame, fear, and struggle for worthiness, but it also appears to be the birthplace of joy, of creativity, of belonging, and of love." She talks about how being vulnerable brings up shame that we acknowledge as fear. We feel shame and that fear of judgment from others, so we tend to follow what everyone else thinks and says, so we aren't wrong or the odd one out. In class, I know that I rarely speak or whisper my answers because I'm scared, and I would be ashamed if I got the answer wrong. But I can't sit here and say that if I didn't give someone or the class an ounce of vulnerability each day, that I'm not ecstatic or happy. It took a very long time for me to realize this, but here I am in grade 12 wondering what was wrong with me in the 8th grade and how much I struggled and how much I could have done better. So here's my little ounce of vulnerability. Imagine this. Tall, bushy-eyebrowed me, sitting in grade 8 PE, knowing only 2 people because of my own regrets because of my own problems, because I didn't want to go out and talk to people. I was put on the same team as one of my future closest friends. She didn't know anyone else on the team, so she only talked to me, and I only gave her one-word answers. I'm surprised she didn't give up because of how closed off I was and how I was, in a way, rude because I wasn't letting myself be vulnerable. To cut the story short, we bonded over a teacher we both didn't like. After that, we were partners for class almost every day. To this day, we've remained super close. During the first part of the story, what do you think I felt? I was scared of letting her know me. I was shy, and there are many other possibilities. But during the end of the story, I was happy, and there was a friendship that started when I let myself show the super random outgoing girl who I really was. The long-term effect was I had a sense of belonging, and we matured to the point where we can sit and talk about world problems that are going on. From the story Totem by Thomas King, the totem pole stayed in the corner, but Jimmy and LaRue were right. After the first week, the singing didn't bother Walter nearly as much, and by the end of the month, he hardly noticed it at all. We have the right not to believe the same things as the person beside us. We may not like it, but we have to respect it. In the story, Walter didn't like anything about the totem pole, and he tried getting rid of it. Every time Jimmy and LaRue tried to remove the totem pole, there was an obstacle that wouldn't allow that to happen. We have to respect a person's beliefs that they're showing because there is a great deal of vulnerability happening when they show us our opinions and tell us what they really think. The thing that we are afraid of is shame and fear of being vulnerable, but that's what we're ingraining in others when we judge them for what they have to say. So gently I offer my hand and ask, "Let me find my talk so I can teach you about me." This quote was from Rita Joe's poem. Rita Joe expresses suffering and pain she felt while she was in a residential school. She faced trauma and still opened up to express her feelings. With her poem being so impactful, you have to think, for someone who went through so many horrors that we probably can't even comprehend, and she still wants to teach us about her culture and not worry about judgment, why can't we do the same? The only thing we can hold on to is a phantom fear that causes us to be anxious and nervous. If we let it, it'll eat us bit by bit. Also, if you have trauma, it can make it harder to open up, but not impossible. We shouldn't let fear judge us and have this hold on us. We should only worry about the opinions that matter. Why? To be honest, I'm probably never going to see most of you guys again. It's the last few days of school, we have commencement, and then it's over. So while I hate presenting, I'm standing here not worrying about your judgment about what I'm saying and how I'm saying it, because I'm showing you vulnerability, because I don't fear your judgment anymore. Yeah, I still have that lingering effect of anxiety, having you watch a video of me on the screen, but unlike past years, it won't eat me alive. From Miss Brill's story, the last sentence in the story, she said, "But when she put the lid on, she thought she heard something crying." This was the last sentence in Miss Brill's story. Throughout the story, you see her watch and listen to others, but still not accept her own reality. If Miss Brill could get over the shame and fear of judgment and go up to people she thought, instead of just watching them and listening to their conversation, living through them, she would probably be more happy with herself. She probably seen or heard an amazing story that she could draw people in with. But she felt fear and shame and decided to accept a make-believe reality. She didn't accept that she was crying, though if she had just let herself be vulnerable, there could be 9 out of 10 people who would probably judge her, but that one person who didn't could make her so much more happier than what she really is right now. We should never let fear get to the point where it debilitates us. If we have an amazing story to tell, we should tell it. But if we don't build ourselves up to share them, we will end up living in a lonely reality with sadness and grief we won't be able to accept, like Miss Brill. Giving you one last bit of vulnerability here. I sat in my bedroom, isolating myself from my family. I couldn't open up about what I was feeling. I thought I was going to be told, "You're just lying," or "You're faking," or "You're whatever," from my family. I sat and tried time after time, trying to explain my mental health, but I could never build up the courage. It ate at me, pretending to be this perfect child, never getting in trouble and never getting bad grades or every other high school pressure I was under. My family thought I was just a homebody, but in reality, I was afraid of leaving my home because I didn't want to make a mistake and be in trouble with them. I wanted to be perfect. I was in 11th grade when I sat with my parents with big ugly tears streaming down my cheeks as I told them about every feeling I've been having recently. See, I had given them little insight to what I was really feeling, and they didn't see anything wrong with the fake smiles I plastered on my face. I had enough, and I needed to find someone proper to talk to about what was going on. After I opened up, I had the best feeling I ever could. I was diagnosed with panic disorder, generalized and social anxiety, and I spent a year working at my issues and trying to let myself be vulnerable. In the end, I had parents who understood. I sit here now thinking, why didn't I do it sooner? Because I was afraid, I was ashamed to be anything less than perfect, but I did show what was going on, and I got the best outcome. I had done it, I was vulnerable, and it worked because people listened. The first line in Selena Gomez's song, "Vulnerable," "If I gave you a piece of me, I know that you could drop it." Yes, this song is about a relationship, but it also proves that our fears are for a good reason. We shouldn't accept that one time we were judged or left heartbroken. We should get over the fear of vulnerability because we already did it once. Yes, someone could easily break that confidence we have, but that's only if we let them. So what have we learned? Don't let yourself fall into what everyone else in the room thinks. Have your own opinions and voice it. If we all have to get over the shame or fear and build ourselves to show our true authentic selves. We could easily be great storytellers. Vulnerability is only hard if we make it that way. Thank you.